Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Warhammer Weekly. As always, if it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer. You'll notice the scenery has changed a bit for me. I'm in this much darker room, apparently, even though it looks very bright here. I'm on the road this week, so this is Warhammer Weekly coming to you from the beautiful city of Philadelphia, or at least a hotel room in Philadelphia. My normal co-host is not here. So no Tom this week, but we do have one and only Tuna Sandwichify joining us. Tuna, how you doing tonight?
Not too bad, not too bad. Yourself?
Can't complain. Can't complain at all. Tuna, why don't you tell the people a little about yourself and such. I will include a link down to Tuna's channel at the bottom of this, as always, for our guests. But yeah, Tuna, tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, like we were talking about before we went live, I've been playing Warhammer for like 20 plus years probably. My original army was Warriors of Chaos. I've been hardcore Warriors for the entire time. Never really. I think I strayed off to Orcs and Goblins for a little bit, but sold that to my younger brother. And then when End Times came out, I decided I wanted to start a new army and went with Undead. I'm actually sitting at my little painting desk, and behind me I have like boxes upon boxes of crap that I want to paint that probably won't ever get painted. But I'm sure everybody has that kind of thing in their hobby area. But
Absolutely. I mean, if you're not being sort of always pressured by the plastic, right? If the gray isn't overwhelming the painted, then I don't think you're doing it right. That's part of the requirements, right?
Yeah, just have GW just sinking their teeth in me every time I put out something new.
All right. Well, very good. So let's start with some news and rumors, all that sort of weekly stuff. And I thought actually we'd start. Now, Tuna, you went to, we've talked to other people who went to Brawlers, very popular GT. I know you went to as well. And I thought maybe, we've asked our people who went to share their experiences. So maybe you could do the same.
All right. This would be, I think, our third Brawlers Bash. Me and my buddies have gone to. It was a great tournament, great guys that run it every year. I think the last, other than this past year, I ran, like I said, Warriors. Always, every time I go, I'm not like a hardcore tournament player, so mine's more of a casual, get games in with my buddies, and then if a tournament pops up, we're like, hey, let's go ahead and make up an army and then paint it in a month. Just most of the time, that's what happens. Like I said, that's how most of my army gets painted. Is the tournament's coming up, got to get everything painted before then. But I had a great time this year. I got to actually meet Matiram and his buddy Michael. Those guys were great guys. We hung out the Friday night, I think Saturday night, and I drank way too much alcohol that night.
Yes, I remember them mentioning on the show that you drank like a demon, and they were shocked at how together you were the next day. So apparently, already the tales of your capabilities with alcoholic inebriation are legendary.
That's 12 years of Marine Corps right there is what that is. But yeah, I think the next day I was good up until lunch, and then they had pizza that they got everybody, and I was fine. I was like, okay, I'm hungry after the first game, and I went ate a piece of pizza, and then something about the pizza was just like, nope. And my last game, I was sitting there I felt bad for the Lizardman player that I played against, because he was a really nice guy. He was actually from Bromance Wargaming. I think they have a channel as well. But I was just like a zombie at that point. I was like literally part of my army just standing there like, I'm going to vomit, and I swear I'm having fun with the game, just not with my stomach.
It's I held it together. It's me.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I put him as my favorite opponent too, so one spoiler for Brawlers. But with VC, I haven't had that many games with him, so I'm still kind of like learning. But I freaking love him. I really do. Like there's so many, just like Chaos. You get so much stuff for conversions and all that. Like my general was a werewolf on one of the Garden of Moor pedestals, and I love that model. And then I also have, I haven't put a picture up on the PMP yet, but I used a huge wolf model from, I want to say it was, not Mantic, but Skyboar, or Sky, however you say that.
Yeah.
It was like I originally got it for one of my, like, I was going to make him my Juggernaut Lord. And then when I got him, he was like freaking Terrorgeist size. I was like, oh, all right then. I guess I'm using him for something else. And then I started the werewolf themed VC army, and boom, Terrorgeist.
Very nice. Now, that's a good. Those I've seen some of your conversions. They went up on the PMP, Painters Motivating Painters. Hopefully, most of our viewers know what that is. If not, look at how much brighter that gets if I move.
There we go.
I'll stay right here for now. And if you don't, hey, you can always request to join. It's a great hobby community. And I want to come back to that, Tuna, and talk more about it, because you really did an amazing set of conversions on your army, and I think it's something to really aspire to. So we'll definitely swing back to that when we get to Undead Legions for sure. All right, let's move on to some rumors. So this has been a very confounding week in the world of Warhammer rumors. So let's move through some of them. The first big rumor that came out was a disconfirmation and a confirmation of the round base idea. This is the most known, least known rumor in the history of Warhammer. I love it. Within one day, we got a guy saying, round bases, they're in. It's the way to go. In the same day, we got another guy saying, look, I know the people inside. I talked to them. This is a huge false rumor. It's not true at all. So, in the end, we know nothing, which is always great. What a wonderful set of rumors that is. Thanks for that, everybody who contributed.
I really hope they don't go to round bases. I really don't.
My feeling on it is this. I don't care if we go to round bases, as long as, however the rules function, I can use my square bases without any issue, right?
All right, I will agree to that one.
Yeah, it's the rebasing I'm not doing. Like, that's not happening. So, and I would think, common sense here, that they have to know.
They don't hate us that much, hopefully.
Yeah, there's got to be some amount of common sense. They're sitting there, I've done software management. You realize when you're making a big change that has a huge regressive effort to it, you're like, wow, this is really going to inconvenience us and our users. It's the same thing here. It's not like they're oblivious. They're sitting around going, man, we cannot, I would hope, thinking we cannot make everybody rebase all their armies. So, as long as my squares work the same, which seems entirely possible, then whatever, who cares? Fine, I'll put them on rounds from now on.
Well, I know they had with Mantic, they're like Warhammer clone type game. All their models are on the round bases, but they come with square bases that they fit into. So right. I wouldn't be adverse to that, to where you could be like, okay, here's a round base that you can use for like the skirmish game, but then you can put that same model into a square base, and boom, you have the same Warhammer, size bases and rule set. I'd be fine with that.
Absolutely. And really, that's not even beyond the pale. I've seen lots of people who have demons armies, right? Do that same thing. They put them on rounds, and then they use like the big trays or whatever, or have extra squares, so they can use the demon army for both fantasy and PK equally.
Yep.
And I don't think those people are greatly inconvenienced by having one army they can use in 2 games, and it looks fine. So, yeah, so that happened. So I guess we're wait and see on that one still. We'll find out soon enough, I suppose. The other big rumor was, as we sort of talked about over the past weeks, there's been this building rumor that the skirmish game that's maybe 9th and maybe like 8.75 and maybe who the hell knows what it is, but it has chaos and the forces of light in it, was allegedly supposed to be coming out maybe at the beginning of May. We had these 2 red dates back to back. But we got the spoiler of the back page of the White Dwarf that goes on sale April 25th. And normally that would tie in with the pre-order. Like normally in the White Dwarf for next Friday, they'll also mention the pre-order for that week. It'll at least get talked about. And so that usually makes the high water mark of the 3 bullet points on the back. However, in these 3 bullet points, there was nothing directly about fantasy. Instead, what we got was a bullet point that said, save the galaxy, or can you save the galaxy, or something like that. And also spoiled was somebody found the web link for the new Plastic Horus Heresy. Which is, the 30K thing, I guess. I'm not a 40K player, but I understand this to be a big deal, as I don't know, but I think it's the point where Chaos and the good guys split apart.
Sounds about right.
That sounds about right. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Like I said, not a 40K player, so there you go. And if that ends up being the thing that goes on pre-order next week, then that leaves us with a big fat question mark of, is the skirmish game the next week, or are we waiting until June? So this has been a week of more questions than answers. That's for sure, as far as rumors go. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? How excited are you for 9th, Tuna? Like, are you a let's bring this on tomorrow guy, or are you a push it out as far as we can and let's just keep 8th around guy?
Right now, because of the fact that I'm sure it's going to be like the box set will probably be at least $100, and the fact that tax day is today, and I just had to send a check out to the federal government. I'm hoping this is a little bit later down the road, but from a game standpoint, I'm excited, but also kind of like wary on like I hope they don't screw up my game type thing.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm kind of at that point where like I've never really liked how GW does their releases, where it's just like secret until like the day of, or there's like little the rumors are kind of cool, but it sucks when it's just like I just want to know what the hell's in there. Right. So I mean, I kind of just want them to be like, all right, here's what we're putting out. I hope you guys like it. I guess the way they do it is kind of build suspense, but for me, if I see something I usually buy it, which my wife hates, but that's how I'm a big kid at heart. Like you can see right back behind me right here is my Nerf collection.
That's a hell of a Nerf collection.
Yeah. And I'm getting it to the little castle right here behind me is my daughter's, which has like arrow slits and all other stuff for the Nerf guns, so she can shoot out of that and play with it.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm definitely one of those guys that if I want something, I am usually, and if I don't feel I'm going to get yelled at it too harsh by the wife, I buy it. So I'm kind of.
I had a good friend who once shared me a piece of wisdom about how he dealt with that when he was talking to his wife, and he said, "Well, I mean, she's not going to divorce me over it, so in the long term, it'll be fine." And I was like, that is an amazingly laid back attitude.
I'm not going to tell her I would adopt that, but I would adopt that.
As long as it's not a total deal breaker, we're good to go.
Yep.
Yeah. The other big interesting story that came out this week is White Dwarf and Visions are in for a change. So this is more or less pretty official as far as I've seen. And that is that White Dwarf is going away in some capacity. And Visions is going to become bigger and start including new content or something, and maybe get renamed, maybe not. Who knows? Maybe Visions becomes a new White Dwarf. It's hard to say. But I think what we've learned is that the 2 weekly magazine experiment has failed, I think, is what the admission was there. I don't know. When is the last time you bought a White Dwarf, Tuna?
God, it's been it was a couple years. I used to get White Dwarf. Like I have an actual, I don't know where. I think the box is somewhere in storage, but it was a huge like 2x3 box, like that's 2 feet deep. That was just White Dwarfs from over the years, because I've been playing since before, sometime around like 94-ish maybe, and I think I worked at an actual hobby shop, so they got Warhammer stuff and the White Dwarfs, and I got like cost plus like 10%. So I was able to just buy whatever I wanted from there essentially with my paycheck. And I had a subscription for the longest time. And I forget what they just recently they did something where it was like they either upped the price or I can't remember what it was that pissed me off, that I was like, you know what, screw you, I'm not giving you any more money for this. And I just stopped getting White Dwarfs. Like if there was something that I liked that came out in White Dwarf, then I might pick it up at like the hobby shop. But other than that, I canceled my subscription.
And I mean, you've got to give them credit for trying. Like in in the age of the death of print media, to go to 2 weekly magazines. I mean, for me, the issue is always I don't see the content. I don't see the value proposition. Right? When I look at them, I feel like it used at one point, say 1 in every 3 issues, I could at least find something that was actual content I could add to my game or thought was cool. But now it feels thin. Now I realize we're taking a month magazine and spreading it over 4 weeks, and so maybe when held against that, sure. But that weekly magazine also still has, basically a higher price tag than one of the monthly magazines.
Yeah.
So,
I think one of the big things that I loved about the older White Dwarfs was the fact that, one, they had full battle reports in them. So it was like a YouTube battle report before YouTube battle reports became big. They had like full pictures. They had exactly what happened each turn. And then they had like a nice little like narrative type thing inside of that. Plus, you also had, when they actually seemed to care about the player base, they had Golden Demon and Games Days every year. And I actually attended 2 of them before they decided to move them like out into like different cities each year. Like when we had them here up in Baltimore, me and my buddies went to 2 of them, and we played like they had the big battles that you could go play. They had the paint a model stuff, and then they had the Golden Demon, which was amazing to go look at. All the models were in there, because there's some people that, for me, I look like my daughter painted this, and by painted it I mean she just kind of like slathered paint all over it, and that is what I look like to the Golden Demon guys. They have so many good models and such amazing paint jobs that it's just like I just would go and look at them, and then they would take those and put them in the White Dwarf, and so you had like an actual awesome White Dwarf to look at with a whole crapload of content. But it was the monthly one, so it wasn't like the weekly one you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder, is the right answer to have just a more digital distribution system of information from your creators, your painters? It does make one wonder, why have they not gone the Wizards of the Coast route or something, right? Of having weekly articles from the various designers and people involved in the hobby and painters, that every week there's a commitment and they do sort of an article or 2 on a theme. Because I think that route has been very successful for Magic and for D&D, and it creates a lot of community engagement. It makes me wonder why they haven't tried to pursue a similar thing. So,
yeah, I agree.
I think there you go, GW. That's my thing. We want to see more behind the curtain. Let us in. Do some weekly blogs. Put it out there.
I had it going for a while on the digital one on White Dwarf, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It just never lived up to the same level of content, right, as some of the other producer or some of the other game companies out there will give you. And I think it's a shame, because they've certainly got the size and the capital and the level of talent. Like I would love to see interviews with like the sculptors of the models, have them talk about what their inspiration was, how they saw it in their head, show them the art they referenced to sculpt the thing. I think those would be really awesome pieces. And I say, why can't we get some of that, share that information? I'm not going to trade secrets. I just want to hear the point of view of the artist, because I think it's illuminating to other people out there who are in the hobby.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That would be definitely something I would watch more than their random, like, how to paint a bloodthirster, because the model just came out. It's It's like,
Right.
okay, whatever. I can watch 1,000 other people do that, probably better than you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the problem with those GW paint videos. It's like, yeah, it's nice. I mean, thank you for doing that, I suppose. But, you know, within 2 months, there's going to be 10 other painting videos of people going into probably greater detail, right? About how to paint a bloodthirster. And so, like, it's cool. I don't hate that. That's fine. Keep that up. Let's see more of it. But also, let's see some more. You know, let's see some more behind the scenes thoughts and such.
I think them doing a paint-a-sode type thing, like how like Malorian had started doing, where they actually paint the model, but they actually talk about what, like you said, where like how the artist came up with the like actual sculpt and where his inspiration came from. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, I like that. GW paint-a-sodes. Nice. Yes, that would be just hours of content. Stop with the 3-minute or 10-minute videos. Give us hours of content. Yes, I can support that.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
All right. So that about closes out our rumors. I know, rather disheartening week. Apologize. We'll be on it for next week. And my guess is by next week, we'll know for sure, hopefully, what is exactly going on pre-order 2 days after next week's show. So we'll of course keep you up to date with what's going on. Let's move on to some hobby time. So, Tuna, what's I know you just recently finished your Undead. So what's on, or maybe are you still working on some more of it, or what's on your desk right now?
Oh, I'm definitely going to be doing more. My buddy who actually got out of the hobby, he was one of the ones that played with us for so long. He went to 2 of the Brawlers bashes. The first one, he didn't paint anything, so he got like dead last essentially. But it got to the point where he was sitting on the floor, just kind of like drunk, rolling the dice onto the table. And finally, he ended up moving. Like, he's in the military, so he ended up moving out to Arizona. And just like 2 months ago, it was like, I got this huge box of crap, and he's like, "Did you get my box?" I was like, "What the hell is this?" And it was like his entire collection of Undead. So I was just like,
Oh wow,
this is awesome. And I still have so much crap to paint. Like, the Undead I have painted right now are the ones from Colonial Carnage army list that I made, and the Brawlers Bash army that I made. And I still have, like, I still want to paint up other stuff so I can try different things. But right now, I think my main focus is my buddies and I started D&D 4th edition a little while back just to test the waters and see if we actually enjoyed it. Because we played like,
are you doing 5th? The newest game or the one that came out in 2008?
it was the 2008 one.
Okay.
But we play, you know, the like Castle Ravenloft and the Legend of Drizzt, or however the hell you say his name. Like those like box games there where you actually have like the tiles that you put down as you move. Like, we played those and we freaking loved them. Especially with the fact that it was like we could all play on a team, because the monsters all, like, you know, circle around, or one player controlled them and it did the random crap on the card. But my buddy decided that he wanted to try and get us into it. And so we had like myself, his 2 brothers, and one of our other friends. And one of them actually, and one of his brothers up in PA, so he was Skyped in playing with us. This had a little like dice rolling app and everything, but it's the one that you actually like use models for. And so I created my characters. We only got them to like level 2. We only got to play a few times, and then I think the new Smash Brothers for Wii U came out, and we lost the 3 brothers. But
that's maybe the best reason I've heard for the demolishing of a D&D game. Smash Brothers came out and, yo, Samus is sick, yo. What do you want from me? Like, I got to get in on that.
Exactly. But I'm hoping to, like, I painted up. I think on the PMP, you'll see pictures of my buddy's Bullywug Ranger, or Bullywug.
Oh yeah.
And it's one of the what's it called? One of the minions from Hordes. It's like a Croak Hunter, I think is what it's called. But I converted him, and he gave me like, hey, this is what the paint scheme I wanted on him. So I went ahead and, for me, like the biggest, I think probably the biggest draw to the hobby, both Warhammer, D&D, all that stuff, is the modeling. And like, if were to go through all my models, there's like so many conversions just because my mind, like I'll see something and I'll put it in my mind. I'll be like, okay, I want to make this. And so like I have crap like this guy got like a chaos. He's half chaos space marine lord or something like that with wings and like really old chaos knight legs. And I was going to make him into like I think was the old PS2 or PS1 game Dragoons or Legend of Dragoon or something like that.
Okay.
Where they actually like turned into dragons when it was kind of like a Final Fantasy thing. But I had that in my mind and I put him together and then I never did anything else with him. But right now I have that D&D model, my Strider. It's the Ranger, like dual wielding Ranger essentially. And he's the model from the Strider Blight Blades from Hordes. I mean, there's so many models that I just love that like I said, I have boxes upon boxes that are just sitting there. But
Nice,
right
man.
now it's D&D focused, trying to get my buddies to come back with a shiny new model and be like, hey guys, look what I got for you.
Absolutely.
So that and Mordheim's also on the table.
Oh, very nice. All right. Well, what band are you rolling into the damn city there?
I picked up a box set of the Shadow Warriors because I just love the models. They look freaking badass. And I know in the actual, like the true Mordheim rules, they're not technically like official or whatever release, but they're on the unofficial roster. Yep. I also know from videos that people are like, oh yeah, they're OP as hell, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, they just look badass. And all my armies have been evil since I started playing. So I figured I'd switch it up and try them out. Me and my buddy are supposed to have like an actual day where we take like a couple hours and learn the rules and see if it's something we actually want to do. But it's a modeling thing for me.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of Mordheim. Played when it originally came out back in '99 or whatever. And yeah, I mean, it's great advantages. It's so easy. You can pick it up. You can get a whole warband on the table. It's 10, 12 figs, maybe tops to start out. A few might go bigger than that, but often that'll be the end of it right there. And there's like I say, official, unofficial, whatever, who cares? Once you play the game, you'll get an idea for balance. And there's a few broken ones out there, but for the most part, it's whatever. Mm-hmm. Because in the end, you're like just the way your warband gains experience and how lucky you are with leveling is going to have far more impact than the base rules themselves. It's one of the things that makes me excited for the potential of a skirmish game here. These rumors that are coming out with this pre-9th whatever thing, because I always thought it was a great on-ramp into full-fledged Warhammer, and I would love to see that come back. I think it could really grow the hobby. Because Mordheim still, so many people love it to this day, and it's been 15 years ago it was made, and probably 13 years, I think, since it's had any official support, and yet still people talk about it all the time and people play it.
Yep. What was the I can't remember. I saw it on Mini Wargamers videos. They played it was like a skirmish, but it was I can't remember what the name of the actual rules were. They have an actual rules pack, and it's basically you're playing as like individual models. It's the same rule, pretty much all the same rules for Warhammer Fantasy, but it's with like 5 to 10 models, and you have no characters, no lords or anything, and you have like your leader of your warband can have special abilities that you can pay for them, but everything else is like regular models that you would have, like infantry, regular corps stuff. And it's basically like Mordheim in a skirmish setting. So like your guys have no flank, rear, anything. They have 360 degree. They can charge wherever they can see essentially, and you learn the rules for Warhammer, but it's a skirmish formation or format. And like before I heard about or learned more about Mordheim, that was one of the things I was trying to like poke and prod my buddies to get into. But it definitely looks like you're saying like what they could be doing with the 9th edition rules.
Absolutely.
All about.
It's something I'm very hopeful for, because again, it's just fun, right? Like it's such a lower commitment, and yeah, like you get in there, you can tell a story. Especially, I love the gaining experience and stuff and losing it over time. The fact that you can have your entire warband just ripped apart, your heroes gutted, and you lose this stuff you've been working on for a month and a half. That's actually pretty sexy to me because, you know, the wins don't mean anything unless you can also have losses, right? So like, knowing that in wartime you're always riding the razor's edge of like, well, one bad game with a couple deaths and this warband crashes and burns. That's pretty exciting.
It's not a straightforward, I'm going to kill the entire warband. They actually have like this bunch of scenarios that I've seen, and you actually get to the point where you actually care about who dies.
Right.
You're just like, I don't want my leader to die, so I'm going to run him away like a little girl. So.
Yep, absolutely. If the game has one big flaw in my mind, it's just that unfortunately, eventually you get so incentivized to leave your heroes out of combat that to play it correct, if that's a thing, you shouldn't ever bring your heroes into combat because that's just asking for trouble. Basically, you should just send forward some chaff, hope to get lucky, and crit out enough people of the enemy team that they run, and all your heroes just walk away triumphant, never having really done anything. That doesn't seem very much in the spirit of the city, but hey.
Yeah.
So maybe don't do that with the next skirmish game. That would be my only thing there, Games Workshop. Fix that piece.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the experience gain and permadeath.
Yes, Thomas Merton says it was called Regiments of Renown.
That's what it is. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, because I couldn't remember it either. And obviously, by the way, we're talking about the fantasy versions of it, but, you know, we could just as easily be talking about, like, Blood Bowl or Necromunda or, you know, because they've done this in a couple different formats, and all of them are beloved to this day. I don't want to just single out. More time just happens to be the one that I have a particular love for, given the genre. But, yeah. Hobby time for me. So as everybody knows, I've been working on Bretonnians for a while, and I recently threw up 3 more Grail Knights that were done. But I'm not working on anything this week because I'm on the road. But I will as soon as I get home and have some free time later this week. But what I'm working on is, which I can't hold up and show you because it's a couple states away from me, is Cetra the Imperishable. I have my Cetra model, and he was sitting back there judging me harshly for not painting him. And frankly, I was tired of his, admonishing stares. So I pulled him out, and he's almost done. Couldn't quite get him finished before I left for the road, but once I get back, he should be done by this weekend for sure. And I love that guy and his big, ridiculous, stupid chariot that makes no sense of why we had to stick 2 extra horses on it just so it can't fit with other regular chariots in an easy fashion.
It's just like a guy with a big ass truck. He's obviously trying to make up for something, compensation.
Well, he's dead. I don't know what fell off or what didn't. I mean, he's missing part of his body. I can see. I don't know what happened.
That's why he's got to have the big chariot.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. Or he just looked around and was like, "Hey, Cetra rules. Everybody here has normal chariots. I want the bigger chariot." I mean, I don't know, but he's an awesome model, and I can't wait to get him done. After that, of course, it's right back into some Bretonnians. Got a lot more work to do on them, but I'm getting to the point where I've got maybe 3,000 in the hole on them. So it's going to be time to start alternating them and other projects for sure.
Can I just say one thing about your painting stuff? You are a freaking beast. Like, you push out so much in the way of models, and good quality models at that. It's just like insane. I'm painting one guy for like a week, and I'm like, all right, I still need to do some other stuff to him. And then I look up and there's like 8 different posts on PMP from you saying, oh, got these guys done, got these guys done. Here's 50 slaves already done one night. I'm like, I hate you so much right now.
Well, I'm glad I can inspire hatred and
that's what Skaven do.
That's what I'm really looking for. It's just complete animosity. I mean, look, there's no great secret to it. It's real easy. Like you already mentioned in this video that you have a child, and that probably takes some time, I'm guessing. I don't think they just run themselves like cats or houseplants.
Sometimes I wish.
My secret is nothing other than dogged determination and no life whatsoever. Really, I have those two magical elements that I've put together to be able to generate a lot of painted models. So yes, come down the road with me of having no life and deciding that you're just going to do this for 4 hours to 6 hours every day, and you too can paint all sorts of things. It's that easy, folks.
See it in my self-help video.
Exactly, yeah.
7-minute abs.
Step one, how to never see your family again or any friends in person. Like, it's really easy. Once you get rid of all them, whoop, just hours in your day.
Got Thanko sitting on your shoulder, whispering into your ear, yes, keep painting.
Exactly.
Screw everybody else.
All right, let's move on to our feature for this week. And so, as you had come to the Undead Legions recently, and I am a big fan of the Tomb Kings branched into Undead Legions. I know you're attacking it from a BC side, but I thought that'd be perfect. Together, Wonder Twin powers activate, we've got the full Undead Legion assault. And I'll also be interested to see how our answers to these questions differ, given our different perspectives. So I thought we would do the best of the best tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about the best of the best in the Undead Legions. Specifically, we're going to cover Lord choices, core choices, and rare. And we'll see how we do on time. We might actually touch maybe a special character or two as well, but no promises. Don't get greedy. All right. So basically what we're going to do, pick your best thing and why you think it's the best. And what we want you to do out there in the community is pick your best out of those categories. Leave them in the comments below, and let's start the discussion. We are certainly not the final word. We're only the first word. So, Tuna, you're the guest, and as always, the guest gets the gift/curse of going first. So let's start with Lord choices. What's your best of the best in Undead Legions Lord choices?
I mean, it's saved me, or almost saved me, from a complete, utter massacre, literally multiple times in the last two tournaments I played in. So I'm going to have to go with the Blender Lord. I think I have I don't think I recorded the game where I played against the Ogres player, where he literally destroyed my entire army. The only thing I had left was I had charged I want to say it was my Blender Lord, my Baby Vamp, and then like a Black Knight champion into his Iron Guts. And I wiped out his entire Iron Guts with just my Vampire Lord. And it went from a massacre loss for me to a draw. And you can hit him out with so much good stuff. Like for brawlers, I tried out what is it called? Beguile, where you actually have they have to take a leadership test, and if they fail it, then they can't attack and they're hit automatically. I think that was the one. And then there's a helm. I think the Helm of Discord was the other one I tried out, which is another thing where they take the leadership test, and if they fail it, then and it's at like a -3 or something like that for one of those two. But if they fail that, then they can't attack, or they have to reroll their hits or something like that. I may be getting them too mixed up, but it was with that, and then a Aura of Dark Majesty Baby Vamp in there to add an extra -1 to their leadership. And then I think I had my Vamp Lord was a level 4 of Death, and every game I got Doom and Darkness, so I'd be like, Doom and Darkness, now you're -3, plus -1 for the Baby Vamp, and now you're getting hit automatically. And the Red Fury and Quick Blood is just amazing.
It is pretty grotesque, no doubt about that.
Yeah. So
now, do you prefer him on? Is he in like a Black Knight bus when you're running him there, or how do you like? Clearly, he's got these other mounted guys running around, so I assume Black Knight bus.
For the last two tournaments, they were both Black Knight bus, but I definitely want to try like a Ghoul Block or Graveguard or something like that. And I've actually, on my big werewolf model, I actually took a cavalry base, put a magnet on it from Shogun Miniatures, like not the magnet, but like they gave me like a 25 mil piece of sheet metal, I glued that on the base and made it into a scenic base, so it's like I can go from a mounted to unmounted, or dismounted rather, Vamp Lord. So I'm definitely going to try him with the infantry side as well. But right now I'm preferring.
Very nice. Now, would you put him on something bigger? Would you ever want to see him thrown on like a zombie dragon or something really out there?
Oh, hell
the old style Lord Tremendous when he was running for a while?
Definitely. Like I think he was using the zombie dragon rules, but he was using like the new what are they called?
The Mortark.
Mortark, yeah. Those models are awesome. Like I don't know what I have conversions in my head that how I would want them to be made up, but I would definitely be down for putting them on that, or like a Terrorgeist or something like that. But
yeah, absolutely. To me, that's the sexy way to go. I look at that model, the guy on the big, zombie dragonish Terrorgeist model, and I'm like, rules be rules, and you can't argue with that. But that is a sexy model flying around the board.
I really just hope, like, my whole big thing about the mounted models is cannons. Like in the old rules, I miss the old rules where it was like you had to say, okay, your model is 24 inches away, and you couldn't measure, you couldn't do none of this back from the 10 inches from the base BS. You were like, you're 24 inches, and if you weren't you weren't a good judge of distance, you would have a much easier chance of missing. But if you hit, they're still devastating. I kind of like how they went with the end times, where they made like the combined profiles, so it's like not an insta kill with a cannon shot on your big model, so people actually do want to take them, because it's the whole point of taking or them putting out these beautiful models. They're huge, like ridden monsters. If you can't use them because everybody's just got so many different damn cannons, they're just gonna blow them away.
Yeah, agreed. I like the combined profile as well. I love it. I do hope that's a thing that shows up. And of course, as soon as you say that, everybody's like, 3-up ward save, chaos. No. Look,
yep.
Whatever. Like, first, shut up. Okay, like we have to deal with 3-up ward idiots and warriors of chaos all the time, anyways, and they still lose. But if that's the case, then here's an easy rule. Like, just if you have the best ward save you can ever have on a mounted creature is 4-up period, or 5-up period, or something like that. Whatever. Like, you can have some ward save and it's caps at 5-up, and it can never be better under any circumstances, ever, ever, ever. Nothing can ever be better. Fine. Like, if that's the case, that's the case. Like, cool. Okay, neat. I maybe I'm being too harsh. But my point is simply that, like, it doesn't have to be the exact way the rules work now becomes then ported over to become mounted combined profiles, right? There's 100 other things we could do in between now and then that could make it more fair, so we don't have 3-up rerolling ones, blah, 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 chaos dragons, right?
And 10 wound, 10 toughness.
Yeah. And moreover, like you said, I know you've been playing for a while, and you got beat. I started in 97, 98, somewhere in that range. But I certainly remember the age of the like straight 10s across Bloodthirster and that kind of thing, So like those kind of stat lines, I've seen them before, and they were terrible then. Whatever.
You can still kill that guy. Like my favorite army to run, which I still love how they did the chaos, or like the whole conglomeration of chaos, where it was like you picked your lord or hero choice, and then you had to pick a retinue of models that were like either equal to or more points for him, and then you went and picked your next character and did his retinue or whatever. So my whole army loadout was a Chaos Lord mounted with 5 Chaos Knights, a Sorcerer with a Summoning Portal, and a Bloodthirster. So I would sit there and like sit him in the back behind like a big mountain and be like, all right, summon. He'd pop up, Bloodthirster fly high, come back behind the lines and just wreck face. And that was the Hero Hammer days.
Yes.
My friends hated me. But
I'm sure they did. I know I hated the guy in our group who did that same crap.
I have my one buddy who played Orcs and Goblins, and he had his Orc boss on a cockatrice. And he's, to this day, he doesn't even play Warhammer anymore, but to this day, he constantly says, "Oh, you Bloodthirster, what's that? he's been turned to stone from my cockatrice. Is that what happened? Yeah. So
Nice.
they can be killed, but that was one of the funniest deaths I think I ever had. Was Bloodthirster kills the rider and then gets a cockatrice stare, and he's stoned now. And that's the end
I
of my
will
army.
say you just called out to one of my favorite things I wish would come back. I doubt it will. There's certainly no rumor pointing toward it, but man, I would love this to come back. The age of the early editions where there was just a monster list, right? And you could, like it wasn't specific to an army. Not that armies couldn't have monsters that were specific to them. I'm fine with that. But I would love it if there was like a core generic monster list, a dragon, a griffin, or whatever, that you could always mount your lords or heroes on because they're special enough. The modeling options that gave you for conversions was so awesome.
Yeah, I loved that in the basic rule book it had that whole list of every army could take pretty much all these monsters, and it opened up so many options for every army. It was
absolutely
great.
You want to put your Skaven Lord on a mana core? Do it. That's fine. It doesn't matter that he's under. Okay, your guy is special. He's a big scary lord. He can have a monster. And I say yes. I really want to just put a Bretonnian Knight on a dragon. That's where I'm coming from with this. But hey, whatever.
This is kind of like walking on to that point.
Yeah. So my choice for Lord, okay, non-special character, obviously. You picked the Vampire Lord, and look, I'd be hard pressed to say that isn't probably one of the most brutal lords in all of Warhammer. But I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to pick the humble Tomb King, okay? And here's why. Two things. One, 4 wounds in T5 very easily out of gate. He's harder to protect, but I like that stat line. I like 4 wounds. That 1 extra wound often makes a big difference. And 2, that my will be done. My will be done takes awful, awful, awful troops and makes them pretty badass. Like, especially within Undead Legions, when you can bury that guy into 2 guard and suddenly take all of your, badass, great weapon, killing blow, having, Banner of the Barrows carrying guys into weapon skill 6. That is nothing to scoff at. It makes them a lot harder to kill, and it makes them a lot more killing.
Yep.
And also, in the end, he's pretty cheap for the points. You get him there, you slap him in some defensive stuff to keep him alive, sneak him a 4-up ward somehow, some kind of simple magic weapon. That's really all he needs. He doesn't cost a lot of points. So if he does ever die, like you don't want him to die, that's unfortunate, but if he does, whatever. I feel like one big downside to the Vamp Lord is that guy is so expensive, and Undead is unstable.
Yeah.
And things can go wrong with unstable very easily sometimes, even despite your best intentions. You don't want your super sweet lord to just crumble off with no ability to do anything about it.
Yeah. That happened to me in my game in Colonial Carnage against the guy who ran all Ken Stubbs. He ran all Goblin like heroes in the front, and that was the first time I ever actually had to do crumble for my VC army. So I was like, what do I do now? And just my army just started dying. I was like, crap, that sucks. But then came Undead Legions. More crumble.
Absolutely. All right, so there you go. That's our thoughts. Now what we want is for you to tell us what you think. All right, so that's Lord. Let's move on to Core. All right, what's your best of the best for Undead Legion's Core?
Honestly, you have obviously the dogs, which are great with the strength 4 on the charge. Zombies, you gotta love zombies, especially if you have a necro to just bolster them to ungodly numbers. Skeletons are great for a tar pit, but after brawlers, after trying them out, I absolutely loved the 12-man ghoul blocks. 6x6. They kill every other chaff that's out there pretty much. They got the poison attacks, and I don't know how many times it happened where I'd run into, like, I think my first game in Brawlers, kind of gonna ruin this part of the game, but I played against what's his name, Gabe Thorne's awesome Chaos Warriors. He had
Oh yeah,
Galrock.
absolutely stunning that army. So if you want to know what he's talking about, just I'll try to find a link to it. But yeah, just Google search his army. It is amazing. Continue.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But he had Galrock as his general. And I think forget how I got him down to like 1 wound left. It may have been my Vamp Lord. It may have been like a spell or something like that. But he ended up flying him away to the far end of the of my left flank, and I had just had my a 12-man block of ghouls run off the board after killing a chariot, and they came back on, and it was the last turn, and I was like, you know what, screw it. They're charging this Galrock's flank. Went in, did one, got like a couple wounds through, and one poison went through, and got that last wound off of him. And I was just like, that's awesome. Those little guys have like gotten all their points back right there.
Yeah, many times for the whole tournament.
Exactly.
5 games.
But yeah, this running them in a small block, they're just more maneuverable, and they can get up there and do some throw some paint out there before they get wrecked. But I think 4 or 5. I think it was 4 little blocks of them. They worked out pretty nice.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting when I saw your army. I haven't seen a lot of people use the tiny little ghoul hunting packs. They're almost feel like they're a slightly killier and more expensive version of like a Skaven rat pack, right? They're moving around. They're this fairly small footprint, but they've got enough offensive power with the poison that they can get in there and just do some damage to other. They're very scary to other enemy chaff.
That's 18 attacks right there.
Yeah. That's a lot.
People
no
don't.
doubt.
Yeah, nobody, like everybody I played against, honestly, it was like I threw them in and they're just like, oh, they're just ghouls, whatever, and then they're like 18 attacks, like they have 18 attacks. I'm like, yep, and they're poison.
Right. I mean, by math, you're getting 3 wounds out of them on anything, right? I mean, pre-armor saves, but that's what's happening. Like when they touch something, hopefully you're getting 3 wounds out, assuming they're not going, last or getting vaped before they go. But still.
Yep.
All right, that's a good choice and an unusual choice. I like it. I support this message, but that is not my choice. I think a lot of people would be tempted to go skeleton archers. That's become the new thing because like they're skeletons that shoot and always hit on 5s. And certainly, I love me a good skeleton archer. No offense to all the hardworking soldiers of Nehekara, but I've got to go for the honored, the true, the tested, the Tomb King's chariot. Chariots and core are not the most common thing. When they came out for Tomb Kings, they were like the only chariots in core. There was like one other army that had them at that time back in 2004, let's say. And, the fact that you can rank them, that their impact hits all, get together and that you get higher strength when they get ranked up. I see a lot of people run them in 3s. That's okay. I like 3s just to run and smash into things. 3d6 strength 4 impact hits, especially with like a flaming banner, will definitely wreck somebody's day, like a big regenerating thing's day. But 3, that's wussy. I'm surprised I don't see more people pull what I will like to pull on occasion in an army, which is to run a lance of chariots, and you take about 9 of them, and then you character wall them with like a Tomb King up front and 2 Tomb Heralds on each side. See, that way they have to allocate their attacks against the chariots, which is always hilarious fun. Anytime, and you're slamming into them, and your characters even get lookouts at that point because you've got 6 real chariots behind you. So it's a valid lookout, sir. And so ramming into people with 3d6 strength 6 impact hits is hilarious. So that's what I will say. From in 3, 6, 9, or dozen or more, Tomb King's chariots are always a wonderful thing and pretty killer.
I love chariots.
What's that?
So you gotta love chariots. I when Chaos came out with their core chariots, I bought like I think 6 or 7 of them. I'm that d-bag that runs a all chariot core.
You're running the Chaos rugby team, as it were, like the 12 guys in the cart and the chariots they rode to the match on.
You just watch my game against Anthony from Sustainable Center. I held up his freaking Demon Prince with just feeding him chariots. I was like, here you go, here you go. Stay away from me. You're fine. Stay over in the left flank. They did their job.
Nice. All right, so that's our core. So again, don't forget, put yours down below. All right, last one, and this is a rich field right here. Core and undead. Core is never sexy. It's always kind of a must-have. You always try to go min core probably, but rare in the Undead Legions. That is a sexy section of the book. Even the Tomb King's rare section isn't that bad, and that's saying something for not a great book. So, Tuna, your pick for the best of the best in rare of the Undead.
I'm gonna have to actually look at this one more time. Sure. I haven't like I said, I haven't started all that long ago.
You're fine. You want me to go first and give you a moment?
No, I just looked at the End Times book and found it. As soon as it caught my eye, I'm gonna go with Casket of Souls. That right there, I used it in the Brawlers tournament, and it was just, I love that thing. It's T10, so it doesn't have many wounds, but a cannon can't hurt it as much as it can normal stuff. But that freaking spell, when it hits right, and then jumps to the next unit, and then jumps to the next unit, it's just like, where'd your center line go? I love it.
Like MSU armies, especially if they tend to have lower leadership, orcs and goblins. Oh, it is the end of the day. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Yeah, and a bound spell, just 6 dice that thing. The only thing that sucked is during Brawlers, I forgot about it a bunch of times. I was too concentrating on, I'm going to throw Purple Sun out against ogres, and I'm like, oh wait, now I have no more dice for the casket. But casket's definitely mine.
I would like to pick something different. I'd love to pick the Terrorgeist or, a Catapult or the Hyra Titan, who's also good and deserves at least an honorable mention because he's the best buddy of the Casket of Souls. He's like, hey, did you get D3 extra dice? Have a D3 on every extra cast. Magic power, go. Yep. But no, sadly, I think in this we're going to be in complete agreement. I must also say the Casket of Souls. I mean, it is. I don't think I've ever built a Tomb King's army that doesn't have a Casket of Souls. It is their one amazing model. As you said, T10, 4-up ward. It's hilarious when it explodes and can kill everything around it. You're firing the weapon from Indiana Jones. It's opening the Ark of the Covenant. It can just absolutely massacre half your opponent's army, and even if it doesn't, it still gives you power dice.
Yep.
What is not to love about this thing? You can hide it behind hills. It doesn't need line of sight. Do I need to go on, folks? The list is long. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
So the casket, I think, is the choice.
I would say one honorable mention that I would give for, at least for my experience with Brawlers, is the Morghast Archai. The fact that they just hover and they have Stomp, they have a 4-up armor save, and then the -1 to crumble. I think if, for those of you who've watched Shimmergloom's report against his Savages, I think the only thing that saved my 3 characters were the fact that the Morghast were sitting there. Because I had my BSB and them, so it was -2. I think I lost by 4, and I was able to just be like pink, pink, and still alive, and then I ended up wrecking his Savages after that. So there's definitely like an honorable mention for me.
Nice. I've been one. I saw you've got a couple that obviously put up ready to go, and I think I'm gonna have to pick myself up a couple of those as well at some point. They just keep falling to the back of the line because I got so much other stuff I want to model on, but I think they are pretty awesome looking too. Like they're a great model, and yeah, they do seem like they got some cool rules. Maybe I'll have to finish out the Legions by picking myself up a pair of those at least. So
I love the models; they're amazing. The sculpts are like beautiful on them.
Absolutely. All right, so we got just a few minutes left here, so let's close it out with some questions. We just had a couple quick and silly questions that showed up this week. So, all right, our first question comes from the Hammer Bros, from Naren Zaid. And his question, pie or cake? You a pie or a cake man?
I'm gonna have to go with cake. I like pie. Pumpkin pie is probably my favorite pie, but cake wise, gonna have to go with cheesecake.
All right. That's kind of a pie-ish cake, but I will accept it.
Kind of. It's got the
You're
graham cracker
kind of
crust.
splitting the middle there. I don't eat in the way of desserts anymore, so I'm not to try to be less round. But if I did, it would be pie. In the end, I'm a warrant man at heart. Cherry pie, it's the way to go. What can you say? That's that little vanilla ice cream. I'm hoping that once we develop the pill I can take to be super thin and attractive and immortal forever, which I'm sure is like a year or two away, I'm just going to be just eating pie all the time. So I wait for that day. Come on, science. Speed it up here.
Hurry the hell up.
Yeah, seriously. God. All right. From Paul Kuhner. Here you go. All right, stick with me, Tuna. Here we are. You are at the Imperial College of Magic, about to have the sorting hat, because I guess that's a thing, put on, which decides what wind of magic you will be studying. Which wind of magic in the Imperial College do you wish to be sorted into?
That's a big one. I think I'm going to follow my origins and go with I'm going to split out from the the College of Magic and go join Zinch.
Gotcha.
His old lore, not the new crap that makes the Master of Magic be the crappiest lore to pick from.
Fair enough. All right, I like it. So what you're telling me is you're heading north and finding some magical barbarians who are dedicated to the.
I'll be Ingram Van Horstrom, ride that dragon out of there.
I like it. All right. No, I think I'll stick to the Imperial College, Paul, and I'm going Heavens all the way because that seems like that would be the sweetest lore. Like you got a bunch of weird curses, buffs, and you can summon chain lightning, which that's pretty freaking awesome. I would like bolts. And you can call the comet. Yeah, comet, man. Boom! Like nothing says authority like calling down a comet on his head. Plus, if there was a lore that actually like made you fly, that would be one of them. Like so it's not. I understand it's not in the battle magic of the game,
sure,
but somewhere in that lore is the ability to fly.
Ooh, actually, real quick on that, I kind of want to change my answer because I just remembered one of the Warhammer novels I read. I forget which one it was, but it was Shadow Magic caster, who was this badass who would do like he was like a fighter, but he would like turn into smoke and mist and like go through the person, and the person's head would just all of a sudden fall off, and he'd just be like standing there like badass with like his dual blades. And I'm like thinking back to that book, he was just like the most badass character I've ever read about that in the whole Colleges of Magic theme. So I'll go with that. Shadow.
All right, I like it. See, so we do get to stay at the college. What that guy was like a combination of Nightcrawler from X2 and the Shadow Monster from Game of Thrones. Like he's those two things put together.
Yep.
All right, dig it. I like it. All right, very good. Silly questions answered as always. Don't hesitate to submit to us your silly questions so we can answer them at the end of the show, or serious ones too. That's fine. Whatever you like. We're always here to answer them. At the end of the show, I also wanted to give a special shout out and thanks to Long Island Wargaming and Naren Zaid for expounding further upon the Warhammer YouTubers Deathmatch 15 last week. They did, if you haven't seen that, they did an hour-long video talking about if myself and other people from Warhammer Weekly, plus all of your Warhammer YouTubers, got together in all sorts of various scenarios and fought to the death who would live. And it was fun. They did a nice Lost scenario, the Hunger Games, just a straight up, death match cage fight. They really took it very seriously, and I feel explored the depths of depravity of how we could all murder each other. So lots of fun. All right. With that, it brings us to the end of the show. Any final thoughts there, Tuna?
No, not really. I think my only thing is I'm probably going to be having to stop on painting here in the next couple months just because the wife and I are actually selling our house and finding a new one. So my PMP stuff's going to be kind of empty for a while. But other than that,
Gotcha. Well, don't worry. We'll keep the spot warm for you. And as soon as you get in your new house, you'll have a new painting desk, I'm sure.
oh yes, be like first thing put up.
There you go. All right. Very good. Well, with that, we will sign off. Thank you all again for watching. And as always, see you next Wednesday.